Hello friends and welcome to this video on Authentic English, and in this video we're going to discuss the poem The Patriot by Robert Browning. So before we begin discussing the poem, it's important for us to know who Robert Browning was. Robert Browning was an English poet and he's mostly known for his use of the dramatic monologue. तो ड्रामेटिक मोनोलॉग क्या चीज़ है ये भी हमारे लिए जानना बहुत ही ज़रूरी है, because Robert Browning was known for the use of dramatic monologue in his poetry. He was an English poet and he lived during the reign of Queen Victoria. He is considered a Victorian poet. Okay, so mostly he has written his poems in the form of a dramatic monologue. A dramatic monologue is a speech by a singular person. ठीक है, सिर्फ एक इंसान जो है वो बोलता है और जो लिसनर है वो पोएम में हो सकता है मौजूद हो, बट द लिसनर डज नॉट से एनीथिंग. It's only one single speaker who's talking about some crucial situation. So the situation is not something very light. It's a crucial situation. It's an important moment where it all begins, and the speaker in the poem is speaking about that moment, about that critical situation. Okay, so Robert Browning has made use of this setting. One thing that needs to be remembered about dramatic monologues is that the speaker does not represent the poet. Okay, so it's another character. You can think of him as a character. जो speaker है वो एक तरीके का character है, वो poet नहीं है, वो एक character है जो कि अपनी speech देने आया है. ठीक है, so this is what he does in the poem. जो ये poem हम लोग पढ़ेंगे जिसका नाम है The Patriot और An Old Story, ये भी एक example है dramatic monologue का. The Patriot tells the story of a patriotic person who initially revered by the public now finds himself in a tight situation as he is about to be hanged for a crime he didn't commit. तो यहाँ पर क्या important है जानना कि The Patriot जो है वो एक ऐसे person की कहानी है जो कि अपने देश के द्वारा बहुत पसंद किया जाता था. He was considered a hero by his countrymen, but then situations changed, time passed and he became somebody whom the country started to despise. नौबत ऐसी आ गई कि ये जो देशभक्त था इसको हैंग करने की बारी आ गई. तो ये पोएम जो है उसमें यही देशभक्त जो है, यही पेट्रियट जो है वो अपनी स्पीच देगा. ओके, इट्स अ कमेंट्री ऑन हाउ द ओपिनियन ऑफ अ मेजॉरिटी इज़ नॉट ऑलवेज करेक्ट. तो ये हम लोगों को ये बताता है कि जो पब्लिक ओपिनियन है, पब्लिक ओपिनियन इज़ नॉट ऑलवेज करेक्ट. आज के दिन पब्लिक जो है वो किसी एक इंसान को पसंद कर रही है, पर ये पब्लिक ओपिनियन चेंज होने में वक्त नहीं लगता. द सब हेडिंग एन ओल्ड स्टोरी प्रोवाइड्स अ ग्लिम्स इनटू द लाइफ ऑफ अ पेट्रियट. इट कैन बी इंटरप्रेटेड इन वेरियस वेज. Patriots go through similar fates. The story is old and forgotten, just like the life of a patriot, and so on. So जो उसका सब टाइटल है, सब हेडिंग है एन ओल्ड स्टोरी, ये भी हम लोगों को कुछ क्लूज प्रोवाइड करती है इस पोएम के बारे में. लाइक दिस पोएम may refer to an old story of a particular person, of a particular patriot, or it just simply tells you the story of all patriots in general, that all patriots deserve or go through, that they don't deserve such fates but they have to go through such fates. वो डिज़र्व नहीं करते इस तरीके की लाइफ, पर हर पेट्रियट की ज़िंदगी कुछ इसी तरीके से होती है, फुल ऑफ डिफ़िकल्टीज़. सो ये पोएम जो है वो कुछ उसी के ऊपर है, एंड इट्स द एग्जांपल ऑफ अ ड्रामेटिक मोनोलॉग. जो स्पीकर है वो कौन है? वो पेट्रियट हिमसेल्फ है. ओके, सो दिस इज समथिंग दैट वी नीड टू रिमेंबर. So let's begin the stanza-wise explanation of this poem. Fine. So the first stanza reads, "It was roses, roses all the way, with myrtle mixed in my path like mad. The house roof seemed to heave and sway, the church spires flamed, such flags they had a year ago on this very day." So myrtle is a flowering plant, some flowers of that plant here. Fine. It was roses, roses all the way. So what happens in the first stanza is that he's describing an incident from the past. Okay, and an incident from a year ago, 1 year ago, what his situation was, what his image was. This is something that's described in the poem. It was roses, roses all the way. So means he was happy 1 year ago. Okay, so he was very happy and it shows that the public was welcoming him from somewhere. Probably he had won a war or he had done something great for his country. It is not revealed here what it was, but the public was welcoming him. So this is something that one needs to keep in mind. It was roses, roses all the way, with myrtle mixed in my path like mad. So this myrtle refers to a flowering plant. Like उसके रास्ते में फूल बिछाए गए थे उसको वेलकम करने के लिए. The house roofs seemed to heave and sway. So the roofs of the houses were heaving and swaying because people were standing on their roofs to welcome him. Okay, so they were moving their hands and trying to welcome him. The church spires flamed, such flags they had, and the spires of the church seemed to be aflame because they had put on flags on the church. Okay, so even the church was happy with the patriot. Okay, a year ago on this very day. So this incident is something that happened 1 year ago. A description of the patriot's earlier life. He was treated by the public in a spectacular manner for some of his untold accomplishments. On another level, it is a description of his patriotism. So it also shows that his patriotism, his love for his country was so high that all the countrymen, all of his fellow citizens were so happy with him. In the next stanza, he describes further this welcome by the public. The air broke into a mist with bells, the old walls rocked with the crowd and cries. Had I said, good folk, mere noise repels, but give me your son from yonder skies, they had answered, and afterward, what else? So this is a continuation with the first stanza. It describes how he was welcomed. The air broke into a mist with bells. So bells were ringing. Everybody was welcoming him. There was a lot of sound and fury. The old walls rocked with the crowd and cries. So the old walls seemed to rock because the shouts and the slogans were so high. You can imagine a great leader being welcomed by the public, being cheered by the public. Had I said, good folk, mere noise repels, but bring me your son from yonder skies, they had answered, and afterward, what else? So if he had said that just creating noise is not enough, I want you to give me something very precious to you, give me your son from yonder skies, means bring me something that is very hard for an ordinary person to fulfill, they would have even done that. आप किसी से मांग लो उसकी जान तक, तो वो देने को तैयार था उसके लिए. Something like that. They had answered, and afterward, what else? और उसके बाद और क्या चाहिए आपको? So they were ready to give everything to the patriot. So this is what happened, what was happening with the patriot a year ago. Alack, it was I who leaped to the sun to give it my loving friends to keep. So if you have your notebooks ready, you can write down a reference here. There is a reference to the story of Icarus. आपके लेवल पे आपको सिर्फ इतना जानने की ज़रूरत है कि एक कैरेक्टर था इकारस, जिसको कि एडवाइस किया गया था कि वो जो है सन के बहुत ज़्यादा क्लोज ना जाए, क्योंकि उसके विंग्स जो थे वो मोम के बने हुए थे. ठीक है, वो उसके मोम जो उसको पहले एक जगह पे ट्रैप कर दिया गया था. फिर उसको बाहर निकालते समय जिसने उसकी मदद करी उसने उसको विंग्स तो दे दिए उड़ने के लिए, पर जो विंग्स दिए वो मोम के बनाए थे, और वार्निंग दी कि नहीं तुम जो है बाहर उसके पास मत जाना. ठीक है, मतलब सन के पास, नहीं तो तुम्हारे विंग्स मेल्ट हो जाएंगे. बट जो इकारस था उसने उसकी बात नहीं मानी और वो उड़ गया सन के पास. ही फ्लू क्लोज टू द सन एंड इकारस wings melted and he was killed. So alack, it was I who leaped at the sun. So he was saying, the patriot himself is admitting that he was maybe over ambitious. He leaped too close to the sun. He jumped at the sun, and the sun probably burnt him. To give it my loving friends to keep. Now this line is very vague. It may mean that some of his close ones died because of his actions. To give it my loving friends to keep, it may mean a lot of things, or it may mean something else that I don't know about. So it can have different interpretations. You can once also refer to the interpretation that's in your book if you have any. So it probably means to give it my loving friends to keep. It was I who leaped at the sun, that he went too close to the sun, kind of took the ball and gave it to some of his loving friends to keep. Maybe he caused some harm to his loving friends. Nothing man could do have I left and none. Not means nothing. So he says that I have tried to do everything for my country, Okay, nothing is left undone. And you see my harvest, what I reap this very day, now 80 days run. And now he says that 1 year has passed from that day, and see my situation now. See where I am. See what I am reaping. मैंने क्या बोया था और मैं क्या काट रहा हूँ. ठीक है. So his situation is completely different now. A subtle reference to the myth of Icarus is invoked. Probably the speaker is as ambitious as Icarus, of course, for his patriotism. Now the tables have turned, and the patriot is in an ordeal. So the patriot is in a difficult situation. There is nobody on the housetops now, just a palsied few at the window set. For the best of the sight is all allow at the shambles gate, or better yet, by the scaffold's foot I trow. So look at the word meanings here, because this seems to be a difficult paragraph for a student of class 10. Palsied means paralyzed. Okay, I've by mistake missed the L. Shambles gate refers to a place where people watch a public hanging, जहाँ पे फांसी लगाई जाती है उसको बोलते हैं shambles gate, उस जगह को. Scaffold is a platform for hanging, वो जो तख्ता होता है फांसी का. Okay, and trow means to think. So let's decode this paragraph. There's nobody on the housetops now. आज 1 साल बाद कोई भी घरों की छत पर नहीं है. There's nobody on the housetops. Just a palsied few at the window set. Only some people are sitting paralyzed at the window. Okay, probably they are old men, or people who are not at all interested in him. This contrasts very much with the people who are cheering for him, the active people. And now the only people who are looking at him are the palsied individuals who are paralyzed. For the best of the sight is all allow. So because people are not at the window, people are not at their housetops now, because they think that the best sight, that the best thing to watch now is to be at the shambles gate, is to see this person hanged. So last year they were cheering for him, but now the situation has changed so badly that now those same people want to see him get hanged, see him dead. Okay, so they have all assembled at the shambles gate, or better yet, by the scaffold's very foot I trow. Or they want to just go very close to this place where he'll be hanged, so that they can have a clear view of this person being killed. So you can probably feel the pain in the poem. The speaker is not at all happy, because he's now very near to his death. I go in the rain and more than needs, a rope cuts my wrists behind, and I think by the feel of my forehead bleeds, for the fling whoever has a mind stones at me for my ears misdeeds. This is a very sad description. This is a very emotional paragraph. So it's raining now. See, it's all adds to the atmosphere of the poem. It's building up a very sad atmosphere. It's raining now, and more than needs, a rope cuts my wrists behind. So उसके हाथ जो हैं उनको बहुत टाइटली बांधा गया है. His hands are tied very tightly. So the rope is actually cutting through his skin, and I think by the feel of my forehead bleeds. For the fling, whoever has a mind, fling means to throw. And now he sees, suddenly what happens is he feels that something is trickling down his forehead. It's actually his blood, because people are now begun to throw stones at him. Whoever has a mind, stones at me for my ears misdeeds. So जो 1 साल में उसने गड़बड़ की, जो उसने misdeeds करी, they must have been something good, but now what they are is not told in the poem. A very sad description of the patriot's fate as he goes to get hanged and the crowd throws stones upon him. So for his years misdeeds, the same crowd is now throwing stones upon him. Last year they were welcoming him with flowers. Look at the contrast that is built up. Just in a year the fate has changed. So this brings attention to two very important themes of the poem. One is how public opinion changes, and the majority is not always right. So today you might think that the majority is right because it has voted for a good person, or it has favored a right decision. But tomorrow the same majority can do something wrong. So majority is not always right. The opinion of a majority is not always right. This is something that the poem hints at. The other thing it tells us of is the inevitability of change and how quick changes can happen. Today you are alive and tomorrow you might be no more. Today I am here, tomorrow I might be somewhere else. Today I am happy, tomorrow I might be sad. So this is something that the poem tries to tell us. that life is not constant, so we cannot have so many expectations from life that we cannot say that everything is going to happen the way we wanted. Change is something very important and we need to accept those changes. Okay, so let's move on to the last paragraph and then just analyze the poem and close it. Thus I entered and thus I go, in triumphs people have dropped down dead. Paid by the world, what does thou owe me? God might question, now instead it's God shall I repay, I'm safer so. So this is the closing stanza of the poem. It's again very emotional. Here what happens is that the patriot says that thus I entered and thus I go. So इस तरीके से मैं आया था और ऐसे ही मैं जा रहा हूँ. In triumphs people have dropped down dead. So people are now actually triumphing that he is about to be killed. So he's saying now that after this death he'll go to God. He's sure that he will go to heaven. Paid by the world, what does thou owe me? God might question now instead. The God, it is God shall repay. I'm safer so. तो भगवान भी उससे पूछेंगे कि जो देना था वो दुनिया ने तुम्हें दे दिया, अब तुम मुझे क्या ओ करते हो. ठीक है, बिकॉज ही फील्स दैट ही हैज़ डन वेरी गुड सर्विस फॉर द पीपल. ओके, सो ही डज नॉट इवन ओ एन अपॉलजी टू गॉड. So he's actually ending the poem on a very optimistic note, saying that now I'm answerable only to God. I'm not answerable to anybody else but God. So he's happy in that, and this is how the poem ends. So the poem talks about three important things: that majority opinion is not always right, opinion of the public can be changed in a very short time, change is something very crucial to life, and last but not the least, it tells us of the journey of a patriot, that patriots have to go through a lot of struggle. Lots of patriots have sacrificed their lives for the nation, for the country. So patriots have to go through a lot of struggle. So this is something the poem tells. Now you can have a lot of questions about the poem that might have been asked in your exams or something like that. Please comment them down below and I'll try and answer all of them. Thanks a lot. And please subscribe to the channel and like the video and share with your classmates if you feel that the video was helpful.